everybody. Welcome to Rachel's Reviews. Today we are doing another best and worst of video. We are talking about one of the stars of our Hidden Gems podcast. This is every week we do the Hidden Gems podcast where we give 5 picks each from a streaming service that we want you to dig a little bit deeper and not just do the obvious popular stuff. And so we've been doing, now we did George Clooney, and now we're doing Ben Foster because we talked about the Kanopy app this week. And so we are each giving the best and worst. And so we're real excited about it. I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and Ryan is here.
Hey, Rachel, so great to be back with you again. And we're going to be talking about one of those actors that I don't think gets too much attention, but I think deserves a lot more attention than he deserves. It's the man who's named after an Australian beer, Ben Foster.
That's right. What is your best pick for Ben Foster?
So my favorite Ben Foster performance is from a movie from 2016 called Hell or High Water. This stars Ben Foster as well as Chris Pine and Jeff Bridges. Mm-hmm. And it tells the story of 2 brothers played by Pine and Bridges who rob banks, but they're not just like, hey, we're going to do it for the money, or they're doing it for a purpose. And we come to find out that their farm is about to be bought out by an oil company. And so in order to keep the farm in the family, they need a lot of money quick. So they decide, hey, let's rob some banks. But unfortunately, they catch the attention of a Texas Ranger played by Jeff Bridges, who's about a month or so away from retirement. And this movie is just, I hate when people use the term modern day Western, but this is a modern day Western. If this was filmed in any other era, like, this would be a Western. Chris Pine is, of course, excellent in this. Ben Foster is, of course, excellent. They have such a good dynamic together. Chris Pine is the level-headed one, and Ben Foster is the crazy one. They have a lot of great lines together. And Jeff Bridges, I love him, but he plays Jeff Bridges, like, with the most Jeff Bridges line ever. Yep, I reckon I got these boys figured. Like, in that exact voice.
Yeah, I mean, I was so happy when it got nominated for Best Picture because I really loved it as well. It was one of my favorites of that year. So, all right, so my best choice is one that we talk about on the podcast. So you want to hear more of my thoughts on there, definitely check that out, please. It is Leave No Trace. And I said in the podcast that a lot of these living off the grid movies don't really work for me because they try to sort of aggrandize the person. When in this movie, they recognize how damaged he is. He's living off the grid with his daughter, Thomasin McKenzie, who's so great, and she's such a young talent, really impressive. And it's really a coming-of-age story about this young woman and how she grows to realize she doesn't necessarily have to make the same choices. She can love her father, but she doesn't need to necessarily make the same choices as he makes. And it's directed by Deborah Granick, and I really just loved it. It was one of my favorites that year, and it is beautiful, lush. The cinematography is really well done, and I think you just get such a sense of empathy for these 2 characters, and I think that he does such a good job playing this broken man who is trying to cope, but he can also be kind of selfish and frustrating at times. So he's just a really, really well done character, and it's a very good performance.
Yeah, like I said in the podcast, this was a movie that I missed because my theater loves to play operas for reasons. But yeah. I've always meant to watch it, and now I really don't have any excuse.
Yeah. So what is your worst of Ben Foster?
So my worst of Ben Foster is from, ironically enough, 2016, and it is Inferno. This was the third in the Ron Howard directed, Tom Hanks starring Robert Langdon trilogy. I think that's what it's called. But Inferno was just a confusing mess. It really was. Ben Foster, he's not the worst part of the movie, but the villain is just, the earth is dying, and I am going to be the cure for that. I'm like, oh my God, you are like the 75th person in movie history to do this. Like freaking Jonathan Pryce in Tomorrow Never Dies did that, and you don't even run a newspaper. You're just like an Elon Musk type. All you need is the DMT and you'd be set. And like I said, he just plays the generic billionaire who's like, all right, this place doesn't have lungs, so I might as well cure it by destroying everything type person. Like, just cut and paste, like from any movie ever, and you'd be set.
I didn't see either of those sequels, but I can imagine, yeah, not the best. My worst pick for Ben Foster is Warcraft, and I'm not a big fantasy person in general. It has to be really good for me to like it, and like Lord of the Rings or something like that. But this was the opposite of that. And it was so bloated. It was so long. I had no idea what was happening. I don't ever play the game, so I don't know. There were tons of stuff that made no sense to me. Like there was this like pool that they were like bathing in that had certain powers, and then there was like this portal thing, and I didn't understand what the rules were for that. And there were like scenes where all of a sudden they would stop fighting, and I didn't understand why they were stopping their fighting, and like what was happening with the battles made no sense to me. And I mean, Ben Foster can't save this just turd of a movie, but it was just so boring.
What? Oh, I'm sorry, Rachel. When you said Warcraft, I fell asleep, because that's exactly what happened when I watched this movie. I want video game movies to work. Unfortunately, they don't, and no one knows why. Like, if any of them could have worked, it was Warcraft, but it was unfortunately like you need to have read like a 10,000-page bibliography just to understand what the heck was going on in this world.
Yeah,
like you had to have been like a seasoned dungeon master in order to understand what the heck was going on.
Yeah. No, it's true. I felt it. I did. I was so close to walking out. I was just like, it is not worth my life, but I stayed, and yeah. So there you go. That is our best and worst of Ben Foster. Let us know your picks in the comments section, and please share this video. We really appreciate it. Please like and subscribe to the channel. And we also have our merch store and Patreon group, so take a look at that. That's all in the description. Make sure you listen to the full podcast. You'll really enjoy it on Kanopy. And so, Ryan, where can people find you?
They can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at RyanCam20. Then, of course, there's my YouTube channel, Ryan Cam's Movie Reviews. The AFI project is still going strong. We are recording this on a Tuesday, which means my episode for Bonnie and Clyde just dropped. On Thursday, I'm going to be dropping Midnight Cowboy. And then on that same day, Scary Mania is going to take over my channel. And I'm going to be reviewing 31 horror movies in 31 days. Your prayers are greatly appreciated.
Going to be intense. So yeah, check all that out, and make sure you're following Rachel's reviews, all of her social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. Got a lot of reviews happening lately. And then also at Hallmarkies Podcast. Make sure you're checking that out. We are getting ready for Christmas coverage to start. It's going to be so exciting. So thanks so much, everybody. And again, let us know your picks for best and worst of Ben Foster. And we'll talk to y'all later. Bye, everyone.